Hi everyone, this is Saravanabhavan from Saravanabhavan's Learn From Me. In the earlier two videos, we discussed and we learned about what is inside TallyPrime. The two important headings we discussed briefly, and I hope all you are enjoyed about what is inside the TallyPrime. In this video, I am going to give the demo how to create groups, how to create ledgers, and how to create stock item as well as unit of measure. So this is the four things we are going to discuss via demo. Let me get into the part of it. So for that, first of all, I am going to create a new company. So from create company option, so I am going to click it. So I am going to create a new company. I have given company name. So okay, address I am simply given. So the state is applicable from Tamil Nadu. Okay. So pin code I have given. Enter. The other information are optional. If you want, you can. Okay. So my books of accounts is going to start from 1st May 2022. Therefore, I defined a date. 1st May 2022 onwards. So I have given all the necessary informations what is needed for creating a new company using TallyPrime. So and finally I am accepting. Now the another window immediately will display in front of you, will ask you what are all the features we want to enable it. According to your need or as per your organization's need, so you please define the appropriate features. Here you please look at so more features, yes, okay, so all features. So I am going to define yes again. So this is the full length of features, even we discussed in the previous video also. Okay. So here I am going to take it as manufacturing industry. So both inventory as well as accounting I am going to use for my business. Therefore, I am going to integrate accordingly. So maintain accounts, yes. Enable bill-wise entry, yes. As of now, we are not going to define any cost centers, interest calculation also. Similarly, I am going to maintain inventory. Integrate invents accounts come inventory, it is important. The remaining all are optional as of now. Simultaneously, I am going to define GST also. My organization registered as a regular dealer in Tamil Nadu state. Okay, GST is applicable from the books of accounts starting from. So I have given GST number. I am going to file the return on monthly basis. Set alter GST details. I am going to give yes, and immediately will ask you for another information by the help of another window. You look at it is exempt, nil rated, taxable. As of now, I am not going to give anything. Okay, so simply exit from that window. So enable tax liability on advance receipts. No. Enable tax liability on reverse charge mechanism. As of now, we don't want. Later, we will define it. Okay. If you are a unregistered dealer, you are supplying a material or goods to a registered dealer. In that situation, so that input tax credit, how do we take it by the receiver? the recipient only the way of reverse charge mechanism. As of now, we are not going to use it. Okay, enable GST classification, simply I define S, then letter of undertaking. Whenever you are exporting any product from my own country, so it is must you have to define and you have to show the letter of undertaking, especially in the GST portal. Then e-way bill applicable, yes, we will have a discussion later on. Okay, so from 1st May 2022 onwards, then invoice value, what is the threshold limit? 50,000 rupees. Applicable for intra-state also, within the domestic state. Yes. Print e-way bill with invoice. If you want, you can define yes. Else, you leave it as no. As of now, we are not going to use this feature. We will use it later. I have defined the necessary thing with related to GST. Once you define all the GST, again the screen will comes back to the earlier one. Now I'm not going to define TDS, I'm not going to define TCS, VAT and all. Okay, simply enter and accept it. So I have successfully created a company along with basic features, including GST. That's it. Okay. The next, you please look at. Okay, so there are 4 headings. One is masters, transactions, utilities and reports. In masters, because now I am going to create a group. How do I create a group in TallyPrime? So I have to choose create option from masters. You look at group, ledger, currency, voucher type. Now I am going to create a group. As we discussed in our previous video itself, group which is a combination of a similar type of ledgers which is going to behave for a proper outcome of my business results. In Tally, as we all aware, there has 28 groups, of which 15 are primary groups, the 13 are secondary groups. Apart from that, you are supposed to want to create your own group. Then you please define. It is not an issue. If you are going to define a group, then what you will do, you please access create option under masters from gateway of Tally. This particular window will open. Okay, at the time of choosing group. Now I am going to give, let me assume, my current assets. Okay, my current assets. This is the group name. Enter under the group. Okay, under the group. Here you please look at which is going to act as a primary group. Once you opted primary group, immediately will ask you to choose what information which we are going to use in the particular group. As we discussed, any type of business broadly which comes under 4 category. One is assets, second one expenses, third one incomes, and the last one liabilities. So I defined a group that also primary group, my current assets. Therefore I am going to choose assets. Group behaves like as a subledger. No. Net debit credit balances for reporting. No. Then method of allocation used in purchase invoice, not applicable because it is an asset. Yes, I define a primary group. Next, I am going to create a subgroup. My asset subgroup. Okay, my assets subgroup. Under, now I am going to choose my primary group, what recently we created, my current assets. Okay, so my current assets will act as a primary group. my assets subgroup will act as a subgroup. So accordingly, you can categorize either fixed asset or current assets or fictitious assets, contingent assets, whatever the type of information which you are going to hold in that particular. Accordingly, you please define either as a primary group or it is a subgroup. Okay, right. Enter, accept it. Right? This is the way we have to create a group in TallyPrime. Okay? Now I am escaping by pressing come back to the previous screen. The next, I am going to create a ledgers. As we are very familiar, Tally has two predefined ledgers. One is cash account, the second one profit and loss account. Other than any ledger account is required or needed based on your business transaction, the same manner how you access to group creation from gateway of Tally, you please find master's heading. The first option is create. Once you clicked create a menu item or option, the window what you are viewing right now, so able to open. So from which you select ledger. This is the ledger creation window. This is the ledger creation window. I am going to create a new ledger. Say for example, Saravanabhavan. Saravana's capital. Okay, Saravana's capital account. This is my ledger account. In this ledger, what I am going to hold it. So whenever you are contributing any capital for your business, okay, or any additional capital which you are introduced, so those informations going to keep or accommodate under this particular ledger. The Tally is already defined the necessary groups from which you can find the most exact group. Okay, so from the 28 groups, there is one group, it is called capital account. I choose it because group chosen, it is a very, very important task. If you opted wrong group, then your answer also will behave in a different manner. Okay, right? So Saravana's capital, I created a ledger. Apart from that, I am not going to give any information right now. So okay, so first ledger we created. The second ledger I am going to create. Let me assume salary account. Okay, salary account. Salary is an example of indirect expenses. Salary is an expenses. What type of expenses? Indirectly. Okay, suppose if I'm appointed an accountant to my organization, I supposed to pay the salary. Okay, whether accountant is necessary or is very important, then it is optional. Okay, may you have, but not you have. Therefore, so we are going to keep as, or we are going to treat as indirect expenses. In Tally, there is a group called indirect expenses. Indirect expenses. Both will act the same responses. Indirect expenses. I chosen. As of now, GST is not applicable. Okay. Enter. Enter. Enter and finally accept it. So okay, we created two ledgers. Next, you go to again gateway of Tally. From there, if you did any mistake while creating or at the time of creating group or ledger, you can choose alter option which you want to modify then choose accordingly. Say suppose if you did anything wrong in group, then you choose group, then choose the appropriate group, then modify and finally accept it. Similarly, ledger. Okay, say for example, I did some mistake in Saravana's capital ledger account. I supposed to modify. You change all the modification, again finally accept it. This is the way we have to create a group, we have to create a ledger, also altering of an existing group or ledger. Okay, so as of now we created two ledgers. You go to chart of accounts, then you select groups. Okay, look at these are all the groups. From this you please find here it is showing 30 groups. As I mentioned previously, it is 28 groups. As of now, right now we created two groups. One is primary group, the second one is subgroup. You look at my current assets. Under my current assets, I created a subgroup. So this is the way you can access the groups what you are created. Similarly, ledgers also. Okay, ledgers also. You look at the right hand side, press F5 from your keyboard, or otherwise you please select ledger view. You will come to know what are all the ledgers you created. Yes, the cash ledger and profit and loss. These two ledgers is already defined. Okay, so only the last two ledgers, salary account and Saravana's capital, this is the two ledgers we created. Okay, so this is the window which you can access what are all the groups which you are. Okay, so here you please choose here it is all items. Okay, or if you want to choose an exact one, then you can. Okay, right, anyway this is the window which you can access all the ledger accounts what you created as per your requirement. The next, I am going to create a stock unit of measure. Then we will go for stock item. Okay, unit of measure. It is very important how I am going to measuring of my products. How I am going to measuring of my products, either kilogram or liter or quantity, or what is the mode which I am going to measuring my product. Let me assume I am going to treat as pieces. Simply I am using PCS. Okay, so the formal name is pieces. Then you have to link with unit quantity code. The tally is already defined. Okay, already defined. You look at bags, bundles, box, bottles, bunches, okay, kilometer, millimeters. There are so many predefined. Okay, the unit quantity code. If you want, you can create your own quantity code also. It is not an issue. Okay, the tally is already created enough number of unit quantity code, so from which you can opt the most exact UQC, unit quantity code. So here I have defined PCS, the short form of pieces. Okay, number of decimal places we don't want. Okay, therefore define 0 and finally I accept yes. This is the way we are supposed to define the unit of measure. The unit quantity code, when it will be enabled, if you are enabled GST classification, then only you possible to access this. If you are not defined GST classification for your organization, okay, only type, symbol name, formal name and number of decimal places will be available. The unit quantity code which will not be available. Okay, so here already we defined, therefore we can access unit quantity code. Accept it. Escape. Moving to the previous screen. Then I am going to create a stock item because it is very easy. Stock group, stock category, we will have a discussion later in the another video. So here I am going to create a stock item. Okay, but Here, so far we do not have any information about what type of product which we are dealing. So therefore, I am blindly using the common one while purchasing a raw material. So therefore, I am going to use raw material. Okay, raw material as the stock item name. Okay, under the group primary, you look at unit of measure. I'm going to measuring uses PCS. Okay, GST is applicable as of now. Okay, we are not going to use. There are two ways you can define your GST after enabling. Okay, one is through the purchase ledger via, the second one the stock item itself. If you are dealing only one stock item or a very less number of stock items, then you can define the stock item itself. If you are dealing different type of products, okay, then you can opt from the purchase ledger itself. That we will have a discussion later. As of now, I am going to define not applicable. Enter, accept it. The one more stock item I am going to create, say for example, while supplying the goods from my as a finished product. Okay, therefore I am defining the stock item name is finished goods. Okay, under the group primary, enter how I am going to measuring this. GST as of now not applicable. Enter, accept it. Enter, accept it. Now you go to chart of accounts. From here, look at units. We have created pieces. Okay, only one unit of measure we define so far. You can define as much as what you are in need. The same procedure. Similarly, the stock items. We have created two stock items. One is finished goods. The second one, raw material. Then the group ledger we already discussed. Currencies we are not going to define. You look at already the Tally has predefined currency as per our Indian context. So we are not going to altering anything. But if your organization having a different branches other than my own country, if you are in need, then you can define by comparing the values. Okay, at the time you can define your own currencies. So group, ledgers, voucher types, currencies, stock items and unit of measure, these 6 are very mandatory. Okay, whenever you are manipulating any transactions which is related to your business. Okay, so what we discuss, we learn it so far, how to create a group. It means primary group and subgroup. How to create ledgers. How to create unit of measure and how to create stock item in TallyPrime. Okay. I hope all you are enjoyed. Okay. Thank you. I'll meet you in another video.